Hey everyone! So, today we are going to go over our April reading recap. I read the most books I have ever read in a month. It was 10. I read 10 books in April. I'm so proud of myself. So, we are going to go through them. Lucy, come here. Come here. Come here. You're okay, baby. The first book series we are going to go over is Flock, Exodus, and The Finish Line. It is the Ravenhood series. So, on the first book, The Flock, I actually DNF'd it, and it was my very first DNF of 2025. And I didn't think I would come back to it. And then on TikTok, everyone was like, no, you need to go back to it. It's really good. You just have to get through it. Because I just felt like it was all smut. And like, yeah, I'm fine with a sprinkle of smut here or there. But like the whole book, I felt like there was no plot and it was only smut, 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 smut. So, if that's your thing, go for it. Book's great. So, I got like 1/4 through the book and I was like, this is not for me. So then I went back to it this month because of everyone on TikTok. And I ended up rating it 4 stars. So it follows Cecilia and her life, and basically the first book is just like explaining, like kind of like introducing characters, but I didn't know it was going to take a whole book in order to do that. But after I got halfway through, it started getting really good and I started really liking it more. So just stick with it and then you'll like it more. Her life is very traumatic and I feel really bad for her, but yeah. So I rated it 4 stars. Then Exodus, I also rated 4 stars. Lots of smut again. So it follows Cecilia again, and then she meets the Frenchman. And basically, they're all a part of this Ravenhood, and like the guys have to claim their wives, and then everyone has a tattoo of a raven on them. So then everyone knows that they are a part of the same brotherhood. And it is a little confusing, but it was so good. Like, the one thing that got me is the miscommunication. I hate miscommunication, especially when there's dual POVs. Yeah. So that's the thing that really got me is like if they just would have talked about a lot of other different things, there would have been a lot less arguing, a lot less fighting, and a lot less tension. But I guess it's like it's a book, so they need the tension. So I get it. Um and so Cecilia actually restarts her life, gets in an engagement, then she breaks off her engagement because she's still in love with Tobias and Dominic and Sean, and then it's this whole thing, and then she goes back, and like, oh my gosh, it's this whole thing. So she sees Tobias for the first time in 6 years, and then the tension is still there, and that is just crazy. So then we have The Finish Line. So The Finish Line was one of the best books I have ever seen that is like a third book. It just fully wrapped up everything. It made it so great. Like, it was a great ending book. It made everything come together. It made you understand absolutely everything in the whole entire series. There are no more questions. And it actually does flashbacks of Tobias's life. So then you can understand it more and come and like understand where he's coming from more. Because at first, like, you just think he's a dick and it's just you just feel like he's rude. But after you really go through his life and understand more of him, it just is so good and you understand everything he did. Everything had a purpose, and he could have just been honest with Cecilia though most of the time, but it's whatever. It's a book. Okay. I rated the last one also 4 stars because it just wasn't my favorite series. I know it's a lot of people's favorite series, but all in all, I gave every book 4 stars, and I'm glad I did finish the series. Okay, so now we're gonna go to Sync with Me by Trin Savage. This was a book club book, and when I say this is the worst book I ever read, I'm not lying. I'm not lying at all. It was terrible. It was the worst book I've ever read. So I gave it a 2 stars. It is the first book in a series, and from what I understood from like the people in my book club and what I researched is that it is supposed to be from a COD game, and it's based off of the game, and it follows Sharky and Tide, and it's supposed to be like a enemies to lovers, but there's no enemies. They're like enemies for like a little bit, and then all of a sudden they're literally having sex, and I'm like, whoa. And it was just kind of crazy. So there wasn't any build up. It was just like enemies for half the book. Boom, they're fucking. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know. Didn't like it. It was a military romance, and yeah, just wasn't my fave. If you like it though, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, so 2 stars for that one. Then Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. I have it right behind me. Boop. It was so good. It was also the last book of the Rebel Blue Ranch series. So it was the only book that followed someone that wasn't like a part of the family. He just works at Rebel Blue, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. So it follows Cam and Dusty, and Cam runs away from her wedding because her fiance doesn't show. It's a whole thing. So then she ends up at the bar, locks herself in the bathroom. Dusty comes and saves her, scoops her up, and it's just a second chance romance, and it is so feel good. I just love the Rebel Blue Ranch series. It is one of my favorites of all time, and that's saying a lot. So yeah, they rekindled their flame. It's just so beautiful. And then he takes care of the child too, because she's a single mother. And then just how much of a family that whole ranch is just makes me so happy for them, even though they're not even real. But everyone is just always has each other's back, cares for one another, everything. So it just makes me feel so, so good. Okay. Oh my gosh, this book was so good. This was a nonfiction book, and it was The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I think it's over. Yep. Boop. Mel Robbins. It was amazing. I gave it a 5 stars. So before I got into like ACOTAR and everything, I only read nonfiction. So I am glad I like picked it up again. My one friend, Kelsey, recommended it. So I read it, and it was amazing. Just one thing I love about Mel Robbins is she doesn't act like she is higher than anyone else. She is like, no, like, I'm going to use my real life situations in this and how I used to mess up. And then this is how I changed my thinking and my perspective, and this is how I made my life better. So that's just one thing I love about her as an author is she throughout the whole entire book used her own situations, her daughter's situations, everything. And it goes through all aspects of life to help you figure out like relationships, work, friendships in your late 20s, like stuff like that, because life does change as you grow. And basically, the whole like the synopsis of the whole book is let them and then let me. So if they have stopped inviting you to like they stopped asking you to hang out and everything. Okay, maybe they have a lot on their plate right now. What if they're depressed? What if they're you don't know what they're going through. So let them deal with that. let me reach out to them. Let me see if they're okay. Let me go and hang out with other people. Let me do what I need to do in order, like, my life does not revolve around that one person. So that's just one thing that I really liked about it, is it made you like know that everyone is coming from some place, and it's not even your fault half the time. They're doing it on their own, and you just don't know what other people are going through, so just like take everything with a grain of salt. Okay, highly recommend. That was a 5 star. I don't know if I said that. Legendborn and Bloodmarked. It's up there. I don't know if it's in the screen. I don't think it is. It is by Tracy Dion, and Legendborn. Right now, there's 3 books out in the series. So Legendborn is the first book. I gave it 5 stars. I It hooked me immediately. It was so amazing. I have never read a young adult fantasy like this ever. So this follows Brie Matthews. She's an early college student. She goes to UNC, which is like right down the road from me. And she has these powers that she doesn't know she has. And she can see things that her friend Alice can't see. So she's like understanding that something's a little bit different with her life. And then she gets invited to this order by Nick. And then there's a little tension with Nick. And basically she finds out that she has, so her mother dies, so her mother couldn't tell her any of this, and she finds out she has powers, and it's called the root. Yet from the order they call it Aether. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Aether. And it is basically the same power but from different societies. So one is from the African American culture, and then the other is from predominantly white culture. So they use it for different things. Like the African American cultures are using their root as like they are just borrowing it. It's not theirs. It's from their ancestors, so they care about it. Yet the predominantly white, the order, they're using it as like a, they're taking it. It's mine. It will always be mine. No one else can have it, and it's more like that, if that makes sense. So I thought it was really cool. It does go like, it does bring up like how she has to braid her hair, she has to wear a silk bonnet, stuff like that. So I just thought it was so cool getting a perspective from a African American character, because you don't get that very often. And I like how it is also based in North Carolina, because that's where I live. Um so then Bloodmarked is the second book by Tracy Dion, and it, I gave it another 5 stars, but it continues with Bree in her journey of growing into her power, and also understanding how she has both the powers merging within her and trying to deal with that. And like, then she, I don't want to spoil it. So she becomes someone's power, like she can become someone, but it's because her ancestor was raped, and that's why she was has become this power. And it's just kind of like sad, but the truth in how everything with slavery and all of that has happened, a lot of it is being like put to light in these books. um so she is very determined in finding out her history, and she gets this bracelet from her mom that her dad gives her, and it clears up a whole lot that she did not know before. And yes, Lucy. And basically in the order, line is law. So if it's in your bloodline, line is law. That's it. And basically in the second one, she has to save Nick, and then Selwyn is dying because he's not with Nick because he was supposed to be a king's mage. And there are a lot of people that are against her and against what she's trying to do, but there are a lot of people for her and on her team, and she has so many ancestors that have her back. And the ending of this book was insane, and it ended on a cliffhanger, but not really. It just, action is going to get started with Oathbound. I did not have time to finish Oathbound because I had to read my book for book club, and it is called The New Couple in 5B by Lisa Unger. This book was amazing. If my friend Nicole from book club didn't tell me about it, I wouldn't have found out about it. I did rate it 5 stars. It is a thriller. It has a lot of history to it, and you can't really trust the main character who she's around. There's a lot of stuff that's a little sus that I felt like I was like trying to guess what was happening, but then you couldn't fully guess. So there's a lot of paranormal activity in this book. She Her family used to call her the seer. The one thing I did not like about this book was the sex scenes were a little like came from nowhere and very not realistic at all. It was just very weird. Stop it. And I just, yeah, it was just kind of strange. But basically, the place they move into, the whole apartment building is like has their own agenda, and you can't trust the butler, like just certain things that made it super fun, and I highly recommend this book. Um yeah, I was not ready for the ending. The ending really gave me a twist. I thought it was only one person that I wasn't going to trust, but it turns out that it was like five. So, read this book. It's good. I gave it 5 stars. Then the other book that I read was The Perfect Son by Frida McFadden. This book I gave 4 stars. It So at first it made it seem like all the blame is going to one person, the son. Like you think that the son is just like a terrible person, and then the cover makes it seem that way, like right from the jump. So knowing Frida, I was like, no way the son is actually bad. Like, yeah, he could have like a couple tendencies that are wrong, but he is not the worst person in this book. Turns out I was right. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it basically comes in the last 5 chapters that it really comes to light who's the bad person. And the mom is just stupid. Like, she is so stupid because who she trusts and who she doesn't trust does not make sense, but their whole community goes against them. And basically, the dad wants everyone out of his life, and you're going to figure that out as you're going along, but that's as much as I can explain, spoiler free. Now we're going to go over the May TBR. So since I hit 10 books in April, aiming to hit 10 to 12 in May as well. I don't know how that's actually going to go, but we will see. So the first book, I've already started it, is Oathbound by Tracy Dion, the third book in the Legendborn cycle. I am so excited. I think it's going to go great. And I just already know it's going to be action packed because of how the last one ended. Then the next book is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. 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 And I think it's going to be a very good book. I have heard a lot about it, and it's very like feminism and like women and men's fields. And I just already love it just from the cover. It's such a cute cover. And then biggest my biggest series that I'm gonna try to conquer this month is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So it has The Poppy War, The Dragon Republic, The Drowning Faith, and The Burning God. So all those 4 books I want to complete. I got this edition of The Poppy War that is beautiful. It has the sprayed edges. It is just gorgeous. And then the back, Yeah, it's just beautiful. So cannot wait. Cannot wait to read that. And then The Wedding People, I've heard a lot of great things about it. So it's right here. And then, oh, also Phantasma and Enchantra. So I want to read those two books because I've heard so many about them, like so many great things. They're both by Kaylee Smith. And Enchantra just came out. I think it was last this month. I think it was in April it came out. And I have only heard good things. I heard some people say it's a little too overhyped, but I feel like people can say that about every book. And then I want to read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I haven't read any of his books. So if you have read any of these books on the My May TBR, please comment and say what you have to say about it. Tell me if you like it, you hate it, whatever. Because I just want to know everyone's opinions. And also, I will be going to Atlanta this weekend. So I'm so excited. If you have any bookstore recommendations, small bookstores, indie authors, anything that's happening in Atlanta, book festivals, anything, please let me know in May because I will be there for a week and a half and I'm so excited to check out all the places Atlanta has to offer. And yeah, so that was my April reading recap with my new PR in books per month. It was 10. And then our May TBR. And thank you so much for watching the whole way through. And just please like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.